Hey guys, so it's been a while since I last played Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, let alone Cyber Dragons, but as some of you may recall, this is actually the deck that started out my channel. I used to produce a lot of Cyber Dragon guides, and I kind of missed that old part of myself, and so I was also lucky to have topped the YCS back in 2021 with Cyber Dragons, and that was sort of the last year that I actually played the deck. But I actually noticed recently it topped the NAWCQ, and so definitely huge shout out to Savage Pete who topped with the list. He was playing like a 60 card creative masterpiece, and so I haven't actually tried out the combos in his particular list. I kind of wanted to sort of try things out on my own. I'm playing a smaller version of 48, but some of the cards definitely were inspired by his list. I also tried checking out some of the other Cyber Dragon content out there in current era, and so there was one by Azuki. Definitely go check it out, really good. But I did notice a lot of these Cyber Dragon guides nowadays that I could find were mostly Master Duel based, and I don't play that. I know they have a different ban list and different card pool, so I want to do specific to the TCG. I can show you a couple one card combos that I was sort of playing around with a build that I felt would end in an end board that was kind of to my liking, and I'll kind of talk about a little bit more at the end of the combo. But yeah, let's just get started. Alright, so the first combo involves, of course, just Cyber Dragon Core, and the replay kind of goes a little fast, so I'm going to try my best to like stop at times and start explaining. Hopefully you're okay with that. So in the hand that you start with Core, you're going to use that effect, and you're going to search the realm, and then that allows you to get Chimera, and then it allows you to extra normal summon, which is super handy. And then we go into Clockwork Knight, so this is going to send off the realm, so that you can add the other Clockwork Knight, the spell. So nice play on words there. And so now Chimera can just discard that for the Power Bond. And then I'm going to pause here. So we go into RB stuff here. You can technically go straight into Cleaver Genius, but I'm essentially showing like a really greedy play. And the RB stuff actually comes up in a lot of different scenarios too. It really, really smooths the lineup. So that's what I really liked about this engine. And so we're going to go Chain Link 1, essentially Chimera in the grave, and then 2 of the RB. This gets us the field spell that's going to help us add, and then the Chimera dumps the worm. We're going to do that a little bit later. So I'm going to pause again here. Sorry, it's going really fast, but essentially there's several different RB monsters. This one's nice because it's actually a level 5 and also a machine. And then we basically link those two in for the 3. And then the Brute Blues can actually add us the spell that helps us revive another body from the grave. So this continuous spell. The way the interaction works is also really cool. Shout out to Zuki as well. I definitely got inspired by watching him. So this can actually bounce back the rocket, and then and then summon it right back, and then you're gonna see the field spell also trigger to bring out another level 5 body. So the one thing I should also note, sorry I keep pausing, the reason I don't go for, let's say, like Regulus, and in this exact combo I'm actually not going to do Regulus just to show you what we can do, but it's because with the RB stuff you need to essentially have either no face up cards other than RB monsters, or no monsters at all to be able to like summon out the RBs. So that's why you kind of want to do this first. And if you use the Vulcan effect, by the way, to use to special to zone, then you kind of get locked into machine. So you don't want to do that because you want to go into the K9 stuff with the Ripper. So this is a really important card in this deck for sure. It really enables a lot of plays, and we're going to add the Jokul, and you're going to notice, well, we don't have any level 5s in hand right now, so we're going to have to work to get that, right? So use the Worm effect, and then dump the Chimera, and then get that, and then the Hers adds the original Cyber Dragon. It also adds Realm, in terms of the Worm effect, sorry, as it comes back, and that's really good to get pitch fodder for the Clockwork Knight. So now we go into the Cleaver Genius, a pretty blast from the past, and every time you summon 2 monsters at the same time to the zone it points to, you're going to be able to trigger and add. And it's not once returned, by the way, which is crazy. So this is a great for K9 stuff, so you're going to summon out the Jokul, trigger this. We're going to add the D-Sub Blaster first. There's like, technically, I guess it doesn't matter the order, but we're going to go into Infinitrack, also added the Lantern up, by the way, off Jokul, and we're going to add Scrap Recycler. So there's another combo I'm going to show later, but in this example, we're going to go through the spell cancel route by sending it to the graveyard, and then now it's our turn to summon out the Lantern, and that's why it's important to also detach the Jokul. We have the Cyber Dragon here, which actually kind of matters as well, and we're going to have to get rid of it later. But, you know, for now, we summon out the Jokul, and then it triggers again, and we're going to add the Sky Striker Grandpa here. So this one is interesting because it is actually also an Earth level 5 machine. It would be nice if Nora was also legal in the TCG, because I believe that was an Earth level 5 machine too. But nonetheless, this is kind of what we have. And so in a pickle, in certain hands, when you, let's say, have Jokul, but you don't have a level 5 in hand, at least Clockwork Knight can add this. so that you have another 5 to kind of pop off. But anyways, we'll get to that a little bit later. The Lantern adds Case for K9. In this example, we're not going to actually activate it because it adds a Zuna, sure, which is nice, but realistically, you're not really going to have the zone to summon it on the opponent's turn. But you're going to have this as a spell fodder to be able to summon out the Grandpa here. So now we're going to keep going. So then we're going to go into Soryuja. In this example, we're not doing 4. We just only need it to special summon. And then we're going to summon the Scrap Recycler, dump the Spell Cancer. Now we can do Clockwork Knight and add the Convex Knight. So shout out to Savage Pete. I got the inspiration from his list. So essentially you can see that we have these 4 combined are 4 level 5 bodies, right? So now at this point, we'll start with Power Bond first. Technically the order doesn't matter as much, but you do want to obviously use Power Bond before you get the Spell Cancer on board. So we'll summon the Himmel, and then we'll summon this. You could technically summon like Nova Infinity first. I kind of tried that. It kind of depends. But like for example, if you can summon Spell Cancer here, then you at least get it also beefed up as well. So anyways, Imperial Coincidence, this is a pretty good card. So we now have the Spell Cancer, and then we also summon out this guy. I'll show you what all of it does near the end. Maybe that's better. We're going to summon the Diesel Blaster, and then this Convex Knight changes itself to level 5. And then now Nova Infinity, we can detach and then attach to hers this way. So I guess it ended, so I can kind of go over it now. And by attaching to hers, that means, you know, when you do your Omni Negate, you detach with Infinity, the hers will trigger. You can add a core from the grave. Realistically, that's not going to do anything for follow-up in this version. It's not like your old Cyber Dragon Pure version anymore. So you could actually dump the Naxxer with the Rampage earlier instead of the core that I did. I know it went a little fast, but that way, you know, you detach your hers, add the Naxxer, and then subsequent turn, if your Infinity was gone, you can summon the Naxxer and revive back the Infinity. So there's a little bit of follow-up there. So you have the Omni Negate here. You have Ripper for the Hand Negate or Grave Negate that could come up when someone's trying to out the Spell Cancer, and then you have SP. Spell Cancer is really good because usual Cyber Dragon end boards, when they go first, it's really susceptible to like Dark Ruler, Droplet, Super Poly, and this kind of negates all of that. But the funniest part of all this is, of course, Future Zexal. I'm sure some of you have seen this in other like Cyber Dragon videos. It's kind of popped in here and there. So basically, it's going to force your opponent to only attack this monster, so your Spell Cancer is safe from battle, but on top of that, it protects your other monsters from being targeted, so you don't have to worry about imperm or anything, even though of course you did have some negates. And that's not all. When your opponent essentially kind of activates, you know, a card or activation of an effect, if they do so much to breathe, you're going to be able to steal their monster, I believe permanently as well. To be honest with you, I never got that far because usually people just scoop at this point. But then on top of that, it won't be destroyed by card effects and battle, you know, as if that was an issue when it's at 6,000 attack and defense. So that was off one single core, right? You would still have 4 additional cards. So honestly, for a 1-card combo, I thought that was actually pretty fun, especially considering back in my days, you know, a few years ago, even core on its own would have just ended on SP pass. Alright, so let's just do another second example, in which case we're going to start with just only Cyber Dark Realm, just to see how that might change things. And it's definitely ideal to have core, I would say, but you know what, let's just go with how it works. So you're going to start with Realm, so then you can use that to do the extra normal summon, just in case, you know, the regular normal summon might come up. So this part will probably be familiar, except it's a little bit weird because we don't have that extra body, right? So you're going to use the Worm to summon out that body, and then hers will still add. You also add the Realm, and then Clockwork Knight, the other effect, to just revive back the Chimera. And then we're going to add the Power Bond, which we're going to use later. And now the RB part should be very straightforward. It's going to be the same. Where it starts getting different is because we have one less like level 5 body, because we have to burn one of them to go into Cleaver Genius. It gets a little bit different than what you saw earlier, and we won't be able to end on Future Zexal, at least not that I could come up with. So now you can see we're getting to that same point. So now we're going to go with Regulus as well. I should have mentioned in the first combo, you know, I know you didn't see Regulus, but if you because you're actually going to be playing with 5 cards, if you open any of those like 3 other machines that you could kind of special, then you can also add Regulus, and you can summon that too if you really wanted to. So I should just explain that because it was only a 1-card combo example. A lot of times, you know, once you actually have 5 cards, it'll open some different lines up. Anyways, so to continue, as you'll notice, we need one more body to get the Cleaver Genius. So in this case, I am just going to burn through, well, first I guess summon Regulus, and then we'll burn through the Power Bond. You don't have to, but I kind of just like get rid of these because with Spell Cancel, they're going to be negated anyways. So now we can go into Cleaver Genius, and this part is similar, and previously you saw us dumping the spell counselor to the grave. This time we're actually going to summon straight from hand. So if you hard draw it, again, you shouldn't really be concerned. You have multiple ways, unfortunately for the opponent, to get there. So click for Genius. We're going to add the spell counselor this time. And then we're going to even activate K9 for this one. So then we can go into Sayuja, draw 4, and then you put back 3. And remember, you would actually have 4 more cards in hand on top of this. So you have more ways to recycle if you drew multiple hand traps, depending on what you play in your list. And then we're going to do sort of your Nova Infinity play. And they all get boosted up. And it kind of, I guess, helps. It doesn't hurt, for sure. We're going to special the spell counselor directly through Sayuja's effect. And then you also end on SP. And so that's a different 1-card combo if you open Chimera. So, you know, it's still pretty good, I would say. Core is a little bit better, but you do have a couple of draw exchanges. And then you can also have Izuna if your opponent does something. And then it gives you another like rank 5 play, for example, if you, depending on what you play, like Jax, let's say, to pop your opponent's card. So, you know, there's still some options. All right, so I'll just play the first combo in the background again as I kind of talk and go over some general thoughts. So firstly, you know, hopefully you enjoyed a couple of those 1-card examples. I mean, obviously you're going to be playing with 5 cards in hand, so that does open things up, like I said earlier, but sometimes it can definitely make it funkier too, right? For example, I've been practicing scenarios where what happens if you hard open Power Bond, or you hard draw like both of the level 5 RB monsters, you know, if you only open K9 engine, can you bridge into the Cyber Dragon component? And the answer is yes. And or let's say if you get Nibiru in specific situations, you know, how can you continue the combo? So I've been trying out all these different scenarios. I can definitely do more combo videos if there is interest from this one. But all in all, it's been really fun. Now, I'm sure you... actually, in terms of the actual deck list, so I do really want to share it, but I do also... I'm going to be playing YCS Montreal mid-August, so I think I kind of want to keep the list myself for now. Sorry about that, but I'll get to that eventually. I would say in terms of, you know, you might still have some questions, right? You know, for example, oh, you did this combo because you just went uninterrupted the whole time. And the answer to that is... honestly, yes, you know, it is like a tier 7 deck after all. You have to have some realistic expectations. You know, if the deck could put up those boards through multiple hand traps all the time, it wouldn't be, you know, a tier 7, you know, below rogue deck, right? So it definitely can be weak to certain hand traps for sure. Droll in particular is really devastating. In most hands, you're probably going to get crushed. Sometimes, you know, you could probably put up like 1 to 2 interrupts through Droll, but it's not going to be enough realistically speaking. You know, well-timed Ash could also definitely be really painful. That is, if they actually know where to stop it. That's one of the advantages of Rogue, right? In terms of your opponent may not be familiar with such an obscure deck. Although, of course, you don't want to rely on your opponent playing suboptimally for you to do well. But that factor is definitely something. And then, in general, like, for example, at least you have, you know, sometimes you can have early access to Therian, or let's say Ripper, to at least try to prevent through some hand traps. Just, you know, again, Droll is definitely a big one. So yeah, you know, it definitely can be a struggle sometimes with that. But if you're worried about the consistency, thinking that maybe it plays a lot of breaks, honestly, I can genuinely say not really. It's actually been surprisingly consistent. I've been really liking all the different kind of test hands. I mean, it breaks sometimes, sure, but it's definitely been pretty good and consistent, and that has not, I would not consider that as a weakness at all. I was originally trying out just K9 Cyber Dragon, and that totally was a brick fest. I would not recommend that. I really think you have to play some RB stuff if you're going to play some kind of K9 package, because it really bridges well and it really smooths things out, as I've come to learn. I really wanted to play sort of, you know, your pure traditional Cyber Dragon builds, just to keep it, you know, like the old times. But I wasn't a huge fan of the end board for pure. So in pure, the core can lead to, you know, something like Infinity, SP, Therion, and I forget the name, the fusion that negates spells and traps. So on its own, core doing that is obviously impressive, right? As I mentioned, you know, not that long ago, core on its own would have only been SP pass. I didn't really like that end board though, at least I wasn't comfortable with it, because it just loses to a single Dark Ruler, or, you know, Super Poly Droplet just kind of rips it apart. And you know, that's why I kind of, as much as, you know, disgusting it is to play a Floodgate spell cancel, at least gets rid of that issue entirely. So this was sort of the end board that I kind of felt comfortable. You know, if I'm bringing a rogue deck to an event, you know, it better be able to do something kind of oppressive, unfortunately, but that was just sort of how I approached it. anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoy that. Honestly, it feels kind of good to be on camera again. This has been really fun. I'm glad the deck has kind of rejuvenated a bit of my love for the game again, and I'm really excited, and hopefully I can see some of you in YCS Montreal. I'll try to do a vlog as well, just to document that experience. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys, especially for those of you who did follow me since my Cyber Dragon days. I hope to see some of you in the comments, actually. I really do appreciate your support. I wouldn't be here without your support at the beginning there. So yeah, anyways, take care, guys.